What a bombshell comment from Brandon Sanderson. Absolutely and totally ignored by the producers of Wheel of Time throughout this entire process. You could tell over the years, just looking at his comments, that he's been very, very frustrated with Amazon Prime Video and what they did with the Wheel of Time. At the same time, he's largely ignoring the problems that they pushed on the audience even harder than you could even imagine with all their diversity, equity, and inclusion sort of setups that they put into things. It's really interesting to watch what he says here and just how diplomatic he is to this, as he's clearly just super, super annoyed with these people. And this is a situation where they ignored the lore, they ignored the source material, they wanted to make their own spin, subvert expectations for a property, and it failed. And we see this time and time again. Every single time these people do this with adaptations, whether it's Game of Thrones, whether it's I guess Rings of Power is the other big one right now. And then this, it just wrecks everything every single time. And that's exactly why this was canceled after 3 seasons. I'm surprised it even went this long, to be honest. But let's get into this news in just a moment. So please hit the like and subscribe button as we talk about all things in fantasy news here, my friends. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you, of course, checking out our works as well. A lot of what we're doing is building independent fantasy that is good stuff, that's clean, it's fun, it's good fiction, like you used to get back in the day before the industry just went way off the rails. For Steaming Country is an excellent, excellent, fun read about an airship crew who goes out and fights monsters. And, of course, as this builds over the series, it gets way more fun. I had a lot of rich depth to it. So if you like fun world building, if you like good characters, this is going to be a great fantasy for you. It's in the description below. Thank you for supporting our efforts. And it's available on ebook, print, and audio to make it convenient for you. It's a 6-book series right now, and a few more to come soon. Thank you so much for reading, my friends. All right. So Brandon Sanderson has finally chimed in on a comment to talk about the cancellation of Amazon Prime Video's Wheel of Time, saying he was largely ignored about his advice on the show. Fans of Wheel of Time, of course, loathe the Prime Video series from the start. I've read the book series 3 times, and I tried to watch it. It was horrific. Now, as soon as like the guy who was playing Matrim was out and just quit, you should have just been like, okay, we got to cut our losses. I couldn't even believe it continued after that point, to be honest. But they did it anyway. And, of course, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And so they really just wanted like a CW-style romance, dramedy, whatever you want to call it, romantasy sort of situation out of it, which is not what Robert Jordan wrote. And so it just didn't work out. It didn't feel like the Wheel of Time. It was really, really an ugly show all the way around. And they really wanted Moraine to be the lead of it, not Rand. And so it just didn't work out on that level, too. You got to have a strong female lead these days. And this is what the showrunner said. It felt essential that their relationship be textual. And this is about adding LGBT propaganda to the books. It's one of the most important relationships in the books, how it drives the plot. It's almost like the inciting incident of the show is contained within the relationship between those two. He's talking about Moraine and Suyan, which doesn't make sense. To me, the show didn't make sense without that relationship being explicit, because we are also putting the emphasis on Moraine more than there is in the books. And as you can see, he tried to make it about the strong female lead instead of actually what the books were about. You're always looking as an artist for, why am I telling this story? I have to devote my life to this for years and years. It was worth devoting my life to telling this beautiful story, but also that the lead was a queer character. I've never seen a fantasy show where our lead was casually a queer character that wasn't only directed at the queer community, but to have that important part of why I wanted to tell this story and why I fell in love with the books in the first place. Oof. So that's really what the show was all about. It was just about being propagandizing, and it went way off the rails from there. Now, Brandon Sanderson has voiced his frustrations with this over the years, and he's been super, super nice about it. He's been very diplomatic. And I pulled some quotes from the first season where he talks about things. And, of course, he says, I feel like this one's going to rub fans the wrong way and make the series try hard to be dark and ominous all the time, that it starts to be too much. And this is about the Tinkers, who are very lighthearted in the books. And, of course, they tried to make them dark and edgy in the TV show, which never works out very well. Look, we can be like Game of Thrones. Notice how Game of Thrones can be. That's not letting it be itself or be the Wheel of Time, which has light sequences and characters who are genuine friends, strong world building. So, of course, they got that wrong. And then, of course, Nynaeve tried to kill Lan. Yes, if you didn't watch the show and you read the books, that actually happened. It's nonsensical, especially given the characters. And, of course, look at how he does these things. And this is a trick of criticism when you're trying to get somebody to listen to you. You don't just go out the gate and go, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, because it immediately turns somebody off. And so this is actually his notes to the showrunner that he was actually revealing here. And so you always start with something positive. And you start with something positive to kind of soften the defenses of the person in there. This is a very, very old trick of criticism, and you learn this in the literary criticism community very often. I've been in critique groups and things like that. They always train you on that right away. Always start with just a positive thing, say something nice, and then go into your criticism. So as you can see, some great dialogue here. However, to give you fan reactions, I think they're going to hate Nynaeve actually trying to kill Lan here. This is pretty savage. Feels out of character for her in the book. She's a healer to the core. Sure, she'd kill a Trolloc, but a man who's doing his best to explain himself, even if she thinks he's an enemy, not a chance. I personally feel this introduces her on the wrong foot. If you ever do things like this, what's going to separate her from Egwene and Aviendha, both of whom would have totally stabbed in that moment? I understand wanting a grittier story, but I feel the contrast between the characters is important in distinguishing them. And of course, that didn't exist in this show. So as this goes on, here's Daniel Green's live watch with Brandon Sanderson as this went on. Brandon Sanderson vented his frustration in this. This is the end of season 2. And Daniel Green actually has his whole rankings of the show and ranks the end of season 2 as the weakest of the entire show, which is pretty shocking right there. Now, this is kind of a shilly sort of group here, and of course, that's why he gets the access to Brandon Sanderson and the like. That's what you do with the access media. And still, even in this, Brandon Sanderson went on heavy criticism of the show. At one point, he says, I know they're going to dislike this. Instead of a half an hour, we get Moraine in her family drama. What a season finale. It's their strongest actor doing good drama pieces, right? The problem of the cost of this is because you have these scenes, you can't do it justice. And so either the whole show could lean into the Moraine drama stuff, or it's going to be preventing you from having the time to set up Perrin's arc and even Egwene's arc. Like, Egwene has the strongest arc, he continued. She does so much this season and nobody else gets to do anything. Rand gets to stab Elon. But what does that mean? Like, earlier, he wasn't even using the sword. And what does the sword mean to him? He doesn't draw it to fight because of the Blade Master, but he draws it to fight the Forsaken. Why? He continued. And, of course, none of that was ever explained in this stuff. If Perrin hadn't been there, Matt hadn't been there, how would it be different? And as it is, Rand didn't even need to be there. And this is exactly what ended up being with the show. And this is where you're seeing he's being frustrated. But again, Brandon Sanderson's being diplomatic on this here. If Rand didn't need to be in the show, there's no point to the Wheel of Time. He is the main character of the Wheel of Time, and so it's ridiculous. And so that's how they ruined the show off the rails. So, of course, now he's actually gone out and he's vented his frustrations today, which is good. But you can tell, he says, I really wasn't involved. I don't know anything more than what's public. And this is crazy. How could this guy not be involved in a Wheel of Time production? What the hell are they thinking? Obviously, it's just Hollywood's hubris again, and this is a big problem. They told me they were renegotiating, and I thought that would work out. Then I heard nothing for 2 months. Then learned this from the news like everyone else. I do think it's a shame, and while I had my problems with the show, it had a fan base who deserved better than cancellation after the best season. Look at how he's just being so nice on all this stuff. Oh my gosh, I roll my eyes on this. This season was a disaster, and I think he knows that, but he's not allowed to say it because he's got to be the nice guy, Brandon Sanderson, supporting the LGBTQ, all this stuff, right? And so even though this show was a train wreck, even though season 3 was a complete train wreck on this level, he does couch it this way. But look at how he does show his frustration at the same time. I won't miss being largely ignored. They wanted my name on it to give it legitimacy, but not to involve me in any meaningful way. Which means, if you want to read into that content, that the show was not legitimate. It was not the legit Wheel of Time, and that's exactly what they did to the show. From minute one, this was just people slapping the names on it, using the brand of something, using Robert Jordan's good name on this, and trying to make their own Hollywood bastardization of the product for their own agendas and not actually doing anything right by the fans or doing anything right by the books. And that's exactly why this failed. Now, no, it did not deserve more than a cancellation. It absolutely deserved a cancellation. In fact, I'm surprised it even got a season 3 to begin with, because it should have been canceled way earlier than all this, and this was very, very obvious. Now, George R.R. Martin has had something to say about this type of thing. He said, Everywhere you look, there's more screenwriters and producers eager to take great stories and make them their own. It does not seem to matter whether the source material was written by, and he gives a listed litany of people. No matter how major a writer is, no matter how great the book, there always seems to be someone on hand who thinks he can do better and eager to take the story and improve upon it. That's exactly what the showrunners tried to do here. As I said, they wanted to push their Hollywood propaganda on this, and it wrecked the show more than anything else. I'm glad Brandon Sanderson's actually called this out. I wish he did a little bit stronger, because I think this deserves a little bit more than that, but it is interesting nonetheless. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and also check out my books for Steam and Country. This is fun fiction, guys. When Brandon Sanderson mentioned the lighter side of thing, I think that needs to be done in fantasy these days. I think the grimdark and all this stuff has gone way too far, and I think something lighter, something adventurous, something action-packed, something with just heroic characters who are doing good, who believe in patriotism is needed in today's society. So check it out. It's in the description below. You can get it on audiobook if you have a new credit this month. I appreciate it. Thanks for being there. We'll be back soon.